Welcome to Built for This, the podcast where purpose meets performance. Hosted by business strategist and human behavior specialist Carly Pepin, this show dives into the real stories behind high-growth businesses. Let's bring life to your vision.
Awesome. Welcome back, guys. So today we have a very exciting guest with us. I have John Sampogna, and he is a seasoned entrepreneur, investor, and CEO with over 15 years of experience crafting award-winning strategies, digital experiences, and campaigns for renowned brands such as Golf.com, Nike, L'Oreal, Scott's, Sixpenny, NYC, Brookfield Place, Chandon, and Grubhub, among others. Inspired by his generation growing up with the internet, Sampogna was among the first in his field to embrace social media as a creative tool for growth, earning recognition on Business Insider's list of 30 most creative people in advertising under 30. His insights have been featured in various media outlets, including Glossy, Adweek, CNBC, Marketing Brew, Ad Age, Yahoo, and Digiday. He has also appeared on globally ranked podcasts as a judge for prominent industry awards and on stages like the Brand Innovator Summit at the US Open. Today, he leads a team of over 100 technologists, creatives, strategists, and producers as the co-founder and CEO of Wondersauce, a business acceleration agency that partners with brands poised for change to achieve their next stage growth. Under his leadership, Wondersauce has earned a spot on Inc. Magazine Inc. 5,000 list of America's fastest growing companies, built a roster of premium Fortune 500 clients and innovative startups, and was officially acquired by Project Worldwide, an advertising holding company. So welcome, John. It is great to have you.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, and I know that you started Wondersauce quite a long time ago. So tell me a little bit about what actually inspired you to start this company.
Uh, we were working at different advertising agencies back in like 2006 to 2010, I guess. Very junior, figuring things out. And I remember just being really obsessed with kind of like the business itself and how things ran and how teams were structured and process stuff. And I had met a friend who had similar thoughts, and we would just kind of like go out after work and kind of talk about this stuff. And we would always like, yeah, one day we'll do something. One day, one day, one day. And it became one of those things that we sort of were like, wait, why would we wait? This isn't really that complicated of a space. So we just decided to do it one day, and then it just took off. So we started the business in 2011, and it was a rocket ship. It grew really fast, and we had a whole lot of fun and learnings along the way. And 15 years later, still doing it.
Yeah, amazing. And with your co-founder, I'm curious as well because how do you guys split up the sort of day-to-day activities of running the company?
Well, back then, I mean, it was really just all hands on deck trying to figure out what you're good at, because I had come in to the equation with like a management and client and strategy background. He had strategy and creative background. And someone has to do like the bookkeeping and the accounting, someone has to like review the contracts and deal with lawyers, someone's got to you know all the things, right? Business development. So in the beginning, it was kind of like a feel it out situation around it, like all the stuff that isn't your core skill, you figure it out and you learn it. And then you eventually hire people to actually backfill the stuff that you're not necessarily trained at or don't want to do anymore. But yeah, it's really just all hands on deck in the early days. And we always had a really collaborative relationship in terms of just, um, you know, trying to do our best covering our blind spots and navigating those early days when you don't really know much.
Yeah. And what would you say it looks like today? How has that role evolved for both of you guys?
He's no longer here with the company. He left a few years back, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
yeah, yeah, it's different now. I mean, I have like a fully robust executive team with like a functioning C-suite and proper things in place. So I mean, it's hard to even compare it because it was like two 26 or 27-year olds, and now it's like 15 years and a whole lot of learning and people. So
Yeah.
it's just different.
Amazing. And I'm curious too, because I know that you scaled fairly quickly in regards to bringing on employees. And tell me a little bit of what that looked like and some of the things that you kind of learned along the way, how you managed that situation. I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in my notes, but it was like 2 people to 100 in a couple years.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
fast.
it's a lot.
We so I don't know if I would recommend that, obviously, but it was something. I mean, and it never felt it's wild looking back at that time, um, because it was a really short period of time to grow, and we had no funding. It was all just through organic growth, and I always say like we were as responsible as you can be when you're, I guess, growing incredibly recklessly. So it was like it felt like every day, every week someone showed up. It wasn't like there was
Mhm.
like a week where we needed like 30 people. It was just like a slow but steady every week someone new shows up for like 2 years. And then we were like 100 people. So it was nuts. But I'll say this, like the barrier the first barrier to cross was actually getting comfortable being an employer, which was hiring your first person. And someone told us like something where it was like uh, you need to have kind of like 3 months of cash on hand
Mhm.
to basically make your first hire, and I think we had that and then some, and when we got comfortable making that first hire, and understanding, like, how it felt like to manage and have the responsibility of payroll and all that stuff, it became easier, and we were then even if we like were like, okay, we're going to go from 2 people to 10 people in the next few months. Instead of having 3 months, maybe we had like 4 or 5 months of cash on hand. And then we started basically balancing like cash on hand with like accounts receivable and then saying like, okay, of the accounts receivable and money coming in, how much of that money is from like good clients that have like a history of paying on time? And we would say,
Mhm.
okay, if you add that to the equation of like good money coming in, it's actually up to 6 or 7 months. And then we would then start working in like taking out a line of credit with the bank where even if we didn't need the line of credit, we would start to use it to become comfortable with the idea of credit. So maybe we would basically say, we're going to pay payroll with the line of credit and we're going to immediately pay it down. So when you start to have all these different levers from an operational standpoint, you have your cash on
Mhm.
hand, your accounts receivable, your bank relationship, you start to become comfortable with like different levels of safety nets. So it's funny, like that stuff let us sleep at night.
That's awesome. I love that, by the way. I'm curious because I love pulling all the different levers on the back end and seeing how it like shifts the dynamic of the cash flow and what we can do. How has that transitioned? I mean, that's kind of how you guys started it, but what would you say it's organized and structured like present day? I'm sure you've learned a lot since then.
Yeah, I mean, present day,
Mhm.
it's beyond my comprehension because now, like, our CFO manages all of that and deals with our holding company and their bank of and all that stuff. So I'm not even involved at all in that anymore. I release payments
Mm,
once in a while. So it's completely different. But I will say, like, one of the key reasons we sold the business was because like that operational burden became a lot to handle independently. So when we were like 80, 90 people
mhm,
and we were thriving. We had a very healthy business, but it was challenging because things like your collection policy, like making sure people are paying on time, becomes crucial because you owe, $1 million in payroll every month. So those 2 week checks where you're deploying four or $500,000 out of your checking account, that gets really serious. And having 3 or 4 clients paying late becomes an issue. So then you start to really leverage the bank and that stuff. And it becomes one of those things where as a founder, your focus becomes a lot more operational than it does on being creative and being strategic and being in front of your clients. So
mhm.
I remember like towards the end of being independent, um, we just like didn't want to do that anymore. It wasn't fun for us. And we were like, if we can just focus on what we really value, like a larger company can handle this in 2 seconds because we are a
Mhm.
healthy business and we have money coming in. It's just about timing. It would be actually just like an easier thing to offload. So now it's like a well-oiled machine.
Okay, that's awesome. So part of the decision to sell the company, be taken on was to have all of this back end really organized, structured, so you guys could have a different level of freedom. Yeah?
I mean, yeah, I think that's a very common thing. Is
Mhm.
like a back end scale, um, where like because like I mean, the ambition is to keep growing, to keep investing in new services, maybe new territories, and finding a partner that can just say yes to that and help you
Yeah.
kind of make those moves more responsibly. Was something that was very appealing to us.
That's interesting. I'm curious too, because what helped you guys make the decision as opposed to maybe creating something like this on your own and implementing the structure on your own versus having someone come in and be ready, set, done with it?
I mean, we had the systems in place. I mean, we
Mhm.
were very much like a well-oiled machine. Like we were really well structured from a back office standpoint, both
Mhm.
from a finance, from a legal, general operations. So we had it all. It was more so like, and that was just one reason why we ended up deciding to put the company for sale. It was also like just it was like a very good asset.
Yeah.
And we were getting approached a lot. And we would take the meeting, we would take the follow-up meeting, and then we would kind of just like chicken out and run away. And after like doing that like 3 or 4 times, I remember talking to our team and being like, "What are we doing? Like, why are we taking these meetings if we have no intention? If we wanna actually see what the open market looks like for this business, we should run a thorough process." And that's what led to that. I mean, we basically
Mm.
then hired a firm to put us on the market formally, and we met everyone then, and we had our terms. We were like, obviously, like, the money has to be there, like, that's obviously very important, like, money has to be good, but we wanted to be the control of our own destiny still. We wanted to feel entrepreneurial and independent. We didn't want to be folded into a bigger thing and then lose our identity, lose our brand, and lose our
Mm.
independence. So like those were the things that were really crucial to us. And when we met Project, who we ended up selling to, what was really interesting for them is that of their agencies, all but one, I think they had 13 at the time, all but one still had the founder operating the business.
Mm.
So
That is
really rare,
interesting.
and it was a good sign for us. So
Yeah.
there were a number of reasons. The back office finance stuff was just one of them. But it was more so around kind of just I think a next logical step for a fast moving like momentum based agency.
Hey everyone, it's Carly. If you're really resonating with what we're talking about and want to get clear on what truly drives you, what your core values are, head on over to my website. In the tools and tips section, there is a free values assessment. And this is a quick exercise that's going to help you to uncover what actually matters most with you so you can lead and live with more clarity, fulfillment, and momentum. Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool. I'm curious as well just to hear how the merger actually went because it sounds like it wasn't anything crazy with this mass
No,
integration. It sounds like it might have been very simple. Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
seamless. It was simple and it was hands off. I mean, like I always say this. I wouldn't still be here 10 years later if it felt intrusive. Um, so everything we signed up for, it was accurate. So it was
Yeah.
and it's funny that I've talked to a lot of people who have gone through this, and I do think this story is quite an anomaly. Usually you hear bad stories about how these situations go.
Yes, I do. I've heard a lot of them. I'm curious too, because when you guys did the merger, what would you say shifted for the company? What kind of growth, what kind of energy got put behind it? Like, what was the difference?
Um, I've always felt accountability for delivering for our people and for putting up good years financially in terms of just showcasing that the business is healthy and thriving. So honestly, like I didn't necessarily feel a burden to do anything different because we've always like took any
Hmm.
any weakness as I took it personally if we were struggling or anything like that. So um and I remember saying this to the team, like I'm like, look, all I ask is that you give us time to let this all play out and don't rush the judgment on what this could be. We know that like in our industry and advertising that like acquisitions and mergers happen. We know a lot of them aren't good. And all we ask for is time to show you that this is going to be different. And I said to them, like, I remember the first 30, 60 days, I was like, look, we have full control over everything. So if there's things you don't like, don't blame them, blame me or blame him. It's because it's not them. If decisions that are being made are coming from us.
Mhm.
So we'll take full responsibility. So that was like the tone we set early on in this process.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm curious too. So you said that also to do this is you just wanted to free up like more time for yourself. So less on the operations, more on the creative. So what does that look like for you now today? Like what is that role? What do you get up to every day now?
It's a mix of it's a I the what I like most about kind of being the CEO is just that every day is different. And there are days where you're like rolling up your sleeves and you are in some sort of creative process or
Mhm.
strategic process, and you're working with an individual or alone or with a broader team, trying to figure something out, whether it's like responding to a pitch or working with an active client. And then you get days where you're doing a little bit of that, and then you're working on some kind of internal stuff and reviewing financial or operational things. There are
Mhm.
some days where it's like fully operational, where it's all about like hiring and personnel stuff. And then a lot of the stuff we've been focusing on now has been like just like the integration of AI into everything we do
Yeah.
and what that looks like, um, making mistakes, cost correcting those, and um, trying to figure out how to navigate this because it's like really uncharted. And you know, like my working thesis now is like we're not putting AI into process, like we're rethinking process, full stop. Like it's a rewrite of everything we think we know. Like the
Yeah.
linear way of doing work in this industry is just different now. So it's a complete rethink, which was a lot because we have teams working like in different ways right now. And you can't just be like, okay, everyone stop and now do it this way. Like it's like we're setting up projects that are kicking off and they're all being set up slightly differently now with a different interpretation of how we want to move forward in a more progressive way. So it's a very dynamic day to day, I guess, is the best way to
Yeah.
answer that question.
That's wild. Well, I think so many companies are going through that now. It's like there's the standard operating procedure is now changing because of AI, but it's not just an immediate change. It's trial and error along the
Yeah,
way. Yeah, so
exactly.
it is it's a lot of time. Okay, so I'm curious as well. I know that we talked a little bit about this in our pre-call where you get inspiration from outside your industry, right? Like you even mentioned like inspiration from hospitality. So tell us a little bit about just I just love to see that, like how your mind works and how you pull that from these other dynamics and situations.
I think it's just I mean what we do is I think good advertising and marketing is done by people who are obsessed with understanding consumer behavior. And I don't think of it in the academic sense. I don't think of it in terms of like I'm not like obsessed with insights. Like I don't care about like like synthesizing 70 pages of research. It was never my thing. I like to have data and supporting research to back up where I want to go with something. Um, but for me, the best way to understand how the world is progressing is to look at how things are taking shape around you. And it could be as simple as like going on a walk and saying like, I'm going to stare at every single billboard
Mhm.
that is around me right now and and the stores underneath them. And if I could find any connection between them in terms of why I think that billboard exists in this neighborhood right now and the copy they chose. So that's like
Mhm.
a very like direct way of me analyzing marketing in in real life. Then I could basically just be like, huh, I wonder why that like I wonder why that restaurant keeps writing stuff on a napkin and I keep getting different servers coming to the table and they're not communicating, but the service is amazing. How do I pick that apart to basically figure out like, oh, they're doing this because it's like a very efficient way of running something. And now I'm like, I can't even pay attention to the people I'm talking to because I'm literally like staring around the restaurant trying to figure out and decode this thing. So like it's just like different extremes for me, but like I feel like I take inspiration from all little things, um, and I then like have them saved up in my mind, and I use it to come up with ideas sometimes, and a lot of times it's subconscious, which is funny.
Yeah, I love that. It's actually wild because I mean you're so right. It's so funny. You're talking about the billboards. I love looking at billboards too, but you just see all the different things in the different communities and it's like you're driving down the freeway and billboards here versus billboards there and it's like I almost know where I've gone and what the demographic has shifted to just even by billboards, like even by
Yeah.
billboards. And it's fun because it's like you kind of know, you just know so much more about where you're at, even in that simple dynamic. There's so many people have done so many cool things, so many cool
Yeah.
things.
I was
Yeah.
like I was like walking around I was walking around with my friends and we were into like a store, a frozen yogurt shop that like they had like a wall of the self-serve stuff. And there was
Hmm.
like 15 options. It was such a cool little thing and you make your own thing, you pay and you walk out. And it's like easy peasy. And I was thinking about that for like a few weeks after I was joking around. I was like, now I wonder like if they had instead of 15 options, they only had like 3 or 4 options. Would they sell more toppings?
Yeah.
And would and then if they refresh those 3 to 4 options every 2 weeks and made a big thing of it in their email newsletter and social, would it drive more repeat visits more
Hmm.
frequently? And like so little things like that, like I geek out on all the time. And I'm like, I don't have a opportunity to like put that into practice. I don't own a yogurt shop, but I'm like now I'm just like I'm thinking about it. So every time I walk by now, I'm like, I wonder.
Yeah. Do you remember? Okay, so Baskin Robbins used to do that where they'd have the specialty flavors when I would come
Yeah,
in, but I don't remember being marketed the specialty flavors. But that was like back in the day when we didn't have as much email marketing. Like we didn't have as much, like most of it was like TV marketing. We didn't have the internet. So you're right. Like I wonder how those things would work present day now that we have so much more access to people, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really, really love that. Okay, let's dive into your culture a little bit as well, because I know
Sure.
that you guys have great retention at Wondersauce and that you also have individuals who are working their way up, staying there for a long time. So tell me a little bit about what the culture looks like over at Wondersauce.
I think it's always been a highly motivated um, group of people that want to just produce great work and want to learn from each other. And I think, you know, we have learned a lot over the last 15 years in terms of bringing people in and managing and making mistakes and all that stuff. And I think the biggest thing that I have like matured around over the last 15 years is the idea that like employment is always a two-way street and it's as much your people's choice as it is the employer's choice of whether or not you work there. So I don't take that for granted. And I also have come to realize that it is much harder to replace people. So retention is so crucial. And if you're running a business like an agency, a services business that is reliant
Mhm.
on your people, the last thing you want is like your turnover rate to be high. And you don't want to have a year where you're 100 people and you lose 15 or 20. That's a lot. It's a lot of people
Yeah.
to replace. And you're not going to go 100% on your replacements. I think if you go 50%, that's
Mhm.
pretty good, honestly, in a high turnover situation. So I'm super focused on retention and having our management team get ahead of conversations with our employees around where they want to go, what motivates them, everything down to like, you know, the stuff they're working on to like titles and salary and how we can work towards bigger things.
Mhm.
So open, transparent discussions around what's good and what's bad, knowing that like no one is perfect, definitely not us. We're gonna
Mhm.
make mistakes. There's gonna be nights where you're like, don't want to work there anymore, not fun. And hopefully we offset that with times where it's actually great and rewarding and it balances out to a positive experience. So there's no magic bullet. It's hard work.
Yeah, I love that though. So it's like you're actually connecting with all these individuals to see what is your goal in this company? Like what is your goal in your career and seeing like if that's something that you can kind of nurture and move forward with. So when you do find those individuals that seem ambitious and really want to move forward, how do you actually help them to get there? What does that structurally look like, strategically look like?
I mean,
Hmm.
it's similar things. I think that you always tease out more responsibility and see how people handle it. Um, I used to tell people like we're gonna throw you into the deep end. We'll give you a raft,
Hmm.
and you know, if it's like too much, just let us know. And if you like it, we'll see how it goes. But like you can make the same mistake 3 times. It's
Mm.
fun. Like I don't want to create a culture where we're pushing people and saying we're going to throw you into the deep end, and then they're going to get penalized for messing up, because that's not fair. So we need to put people in a position where they feel like they can succeed even if we're stretching. And then that we also understand that they're going to make mistakes, and that
Mhm.
there are people who know better who are going to find those mistakes and correct them so our clients don't suffer. So if you make the same mistake 3 times, for us, it's good. It's like first time, it's like you've never done it before. Second time, it probably approached from a different angle and it kind of caught you off guard. And the third time, you were so pumped to do it correctly that you missed something probably very arbitrary or very administrative, and it was a silly mistake. So it's little things like that. And then also like it's also okay understanding if things aren't working out in a if you're pushing someone into a new position, and um both parties are just like it's not what we thought it was going to be, and
Mhm.
you can revert, you can pivot it and move on to something else. It doesn't have to be like a big thing where you force it and then
Yeah.
eventually like have to part ways. So it's just transparency and communication and all this stuff, I think.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I love the dynamic too of just having the checks and balances so that if something does happen, like it doesn't have to reach the client. But it also shows a lot of teamwork, camaraderie. So I'm curious what it looks like on the back end. Just what are you guys doing to create that level of camaraderie? Because now you have people knowing this person might make a mistake and just be completely willing. Where sometimes, you go into these office environments and people just don't want to handle that. Like they're overwhelmed. I was talking to someone today, so overwhelmed. Um, Giving him that role, he would be very upset, right? And so it's a different culture. So how do you build that culture of camaraderie?
Uh, I don't really have an answer to that, because
Yeah,
I think that camaraderie happens when a lot of people are bought into a vision for a company, or
yeah.
a common goal of achieving this with this client, this campaign, or um and I think that camaraderie isn't perfect. I
Hmm.
think that like it's one of those things that you kind of know it when you see it, and you also know that like there are going to be times when like the person you're describing, like there are people that are just like stressed out and overwhelmed, and you need to basically like have enough people who are comfortable reporting up and saying like, let's go check on so and so, make sure they're good, they seem a little stressed, it's been a couple
Yeah.
days, they're stressed. So it's like it's always been like a level of government where it's
Hmm.
not just like it's definitely not me. It's like it's a lot of different people who are all serving as kind of like a manager or an overseer of 2 people, of 5 people, of 10 people, and they're reporting up. But it's a lot of like
Hmm.
it's like a web system, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
No, it's helpful. We'll dive deeper into it because I'm curious, what is the vision for the company? We'll start there. Just curious what you guys have as your vision. Hmm.
the vision for the agency has always just been to deliver um the most effective marketing
Hmm.
and technology solutions across today's customer journey for our brands, whether that's rebuilding their infrastructure and making sure that their apps and their websites and their e-commerce experiences are going to convert at the highest degree, or if it's helping them with their outward facing voice and
Hmm.
content and how they engage with creators and influencers and the role of paid media in their brand. um, for us, it's about just building a contemporary agency that can offer our clients the most modern point of view on where consumer behavior is going. And I want to be able to act as a consultant to our clients. And every kind of prescription is going to be different. It's like a doctor. You're not going to prescribe the same thing to your entire clientele. You're going to basically figure out what you think is wrong, and you're going to um, prescribe some tactics to get you over the hump. So when we're at our best, we're consultants to brands, and we're one part that and one part execution. So it has to all be good. I think now it's like with AI, with everything going on, I really like the size we're at in terms of our head count. I don't think growth is a numbers game anymore in terms of like from 80 to 150 people. I think it's more about the level and the size of the challenges you're tasked with solving. So
Yeah.
I want to solve the coolest challenges out there that we can get our hands on, and I want our team to feel highly motivated and almost like telling their friends at night, like, "Oh my God, we're kicking this off tomorrow.
Mhm.
It's so exciting." Like that's what motivates me
Yeah.
is stuff like that.
Okay, that's cool. Because now I'm curious how you like work to get them engaged and excited in that way about the vision, about the projects, or are you just hiring people who you're like, you're already excited, or a little bit both? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's one of those things where, like we're not selling like deodorant or mattresses or, tables. We're selling ideas and creative and things we build. So when we're interviewing people and they're asking about the types of projects we have going on, if I don't see their eyes light up,
Yeah.
it's a red flag. And I get like super pumped when I like lurk in any number of our dozens and dozens of Slack channels about what's going on across projects. And you get to see like in the weeds what people are talking about and the challenges they're trying to solve. And it's fun when you see people geeking out about like seemingly weird things.
Yeah.
Um, so you're doing something right when there's general excitement around the clients you're working with. And then our clients are going to be happy because people are super tapped into their brands. So that's the sweet spot. It's about finding the right client mix that your clients are gonna, value the work and your people are gonna be pumped about delivering because then everyone's happy.
Yeah, I actually love that. I feel like you tapped into something probably I think most people don't realize how powerful it is, but if you're sitting in front of someone and they're lighting up in that way, you've connected with something beyond motivation. Like you've just found someone who's genuinely inspired, and those are the people that they wake up, they work when they don't have to, they come up with creative ideas, they talk about it like it's us, it's a team, it's we.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing. You're basically hiring very inspired people. So it's cool catch.
I would like I would take screenshots of like internal channels
Mhm.
and send it to clients randomly. And like, hey, I'm gonna join Tuesday's review. Check this out. And it would be like a screenshot of people talking. And it would be like geeking out about something and super excited. And the clients are pumped. They're like,
Yeah.
there's a group of people right now laughing, pushing thought, and excited that to work on our business. And that's everything because that's what we offer our clients is we offer them solutions to hopefully make their business better. And if we're doing it and we're miserable and we're negative and like that's horrible. Like you don't want that. You want
Yeah.
people that are like excited to get to work every day. So it's crucial.
Yeah, it's so cool. And even on the client end, just being able to receive that is night and day. You know, when
Yeah.
I'm on the client end and I have someone who's so excited to connect with me, so excited to talk to me, it's just a different level of conversation. It's a different level of progress. Also, because they're getting me to go in different avenues and directions that I don't even think of because
Yeah.
yeah, I'm busy in my day to day, and they're the one who is the expert coming up with the ideas. And then they come in, I'm like, that's a great idea. I
Yeah.
didn't think of
Exactly.
that. Let's go for it. And then you're excited, and they're excited, and it becomes like another team that you get to work with. It's
Yeah.
very cool. So I'm curious too, because I know that I kind of want to dive over to this consultant dynamic that you have, right? So you're not just doing the advertising, marketing, you're not just doing that dynamic, the digital acceleration, but you're also now a consultant. Was that something that you started doing in the beginning or something that you learned over time was beneficial to the clients?
We will always were doing it. Like
Yeah.
rarely paid for it, always doing it.
Hmm.
And I always say like we can't help ourselves but to before starting on something ensure that we're like marching in the right direction and that it all makes sense and that it's actually going to solve whatever problem they have or need they have. So I think more and more, and it's only going to get more important because, you know, if execution is largely commoditized, then all you have is your direction. and your idea, and that is going to differentiate you from another brand. So I think more and more it is crucial to have a point of view on something so it doesn't look the same and feel the same, and it actually makes sense for your brand and your business. I also think it's really important to stop people from going in the wrong direction and wasting a ton of money and time. If you
Mhm.
think instinctually it's just wrong and incorrect, there's ways to do that. There's ways to talk people down respectfully and with data, or with a counter pivot of like, it's look, it's sort of like that, but it's more down this path, which would be more beneficial. So um, that's kind of what I like doing the most, honestly, is just like hearing what's going on with different companies, and
Mhm.
sometimes giving unsolicited advice or my thoughts.
Hey everyone, it's Carly. So, if this conversation is really hitting home and you want to get a real snapshot of what's working and what's not in your business, head on over to my website in the tools and tips section and you can have the business performance health check. In just about 15 minutes, you're going to see where the friction is and where your next growth opportunity lies within your company. That's awesome. I'm curious too, because when you're hiring individuals, do you hire individuals specifically to solely be a consultant, or is it sort of merged in with another position?
No, it's merged. It's almost like you have become so fluid in your core responsibility,
Hmm.
and you understand how, like, if you're a technologist and you understand how the implications of creative and strategy and et cetera impact your work, you could speak strategically about all things tech, but you can weave it into a broader business dialogue that touches everything else. The same can be said for any number of focus areas, but typically we have people that are focused on something, creative, tech, strategy, and they end up becoming like overarching thinkers on all things marketing and what we do. And they're able to speak like very eloquently around a number of categories that are important to a brand and to a business, because everything now is connected, honestly. Like, the
Hmm.
customer journey is so intertwined. Like, the user doesn't know where like the ad stops and the website to buy something begins. It's all one or two clicks and you're like, ad to Shopify to conversion. And there might have been like an influencer component in there too. So like the journey, the funnel is like microscopic now. It's not this big romantic thing anymore. It's quick, it's efficient.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. It's kind of cool too because it sounds like the individuals that you're hiring, there's almost a dynamic of they have to be pretty um, I mean, just courageous, brave in their position. Like it's not really a shy position that you hire for, it sounds like. Like they have to be outgoing to a certain degree to be able to talk to the customers, to push them a little bit, to ensure that they're not just delivering a service, but asking quality questions in these specific ways to challenge them to kind of think beyond what they thought they needed and get something that is actually going to stand the test of time and
Yeah,
get
and
what
it's
they
not, and again,
want.
it's not
Mhm.
everyone who's feels
Yeah.
comfortable doing that. Like, it might just be like one or two people on an 8-person team, but maybe the people that are a little bit more quiet are comfortable sharing their thoughts internally, and then those thoughts are then like leveled up to the client. So it's one of those things where you join and you start to see how we work, and
Mhm.
people start to adapt to the style, and you'll see them become more comfortable, more talkative, more opinionated organically over time. We're not really like saying like you need to do X, Y, and Z day one. We're just kind of saying like you're
Yeah.
hired to do that. You're a designer, so you have to design, but like, what are your thoughts on this? Or like it'll happen organically. And that's, I think, the sweet spot. It's not like
Yeah.
you don't need 80 people all voicing opinions all the time, because then it gets messy.
Yeah. It's like the way you have it set up with these teams. It's almost helping them to build that dynamic so that they can, well, like you said, if they want to, work their way into that future position. If they want to, but they don't have to if they don't want to. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and it's more so just making it like the big takeaway is just an environment where people feel comfortable voicing their
Mm.
thoughts and pushing back if they don't agree with something. And that's the most important thing. People should not feel uncomfortable because they disagree with, you know, a direction for something, or they
Yeah.
think that like the client's request is going to take us down a bad path. Like we want to create an environment where every single day the persons can say, not good, here's why. And
Yeah.
the producer will listen, or their manager will listen and will intervene.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to you a little bit about bottlenecks too, because I know that you mentioned bottlenecks as your best feedback loop, right? I
Yeah.
love that you said that. They're some of my favorite because I feel like every time we have a bottleneck, it's like, okay, this is what's going wrong in the system. It's just an indicator of something that we can re-strategize on, like rework.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to share like concrete example of maybe some of the bottlenecks that you've gone through and how you've kind of put together something, what it showed you.
Yeah. Like when you're scaling a company rapidly, you're looking for the things that break, because the things that break lead to quality control issues. It leads to people being unhappy and quitting, and generally leads to bad things, right? So there's not a book that you read that basically says when you're going from 20 to 40 people, these things happen. When you're going for like, sure, at a high level, right? You need layers of management, you need processes, you need people to run teams. Yes, of course. But the funny thing is, like, the feedback loops tell you all the answers. So if someone's like, I know, I'm a bottleneck. It's always like a joke, right? You're like, yeah, okay, you are a fucking bottleneck. Now, like, you keep saying it. So, like, what is it? The five thing like, you said that now 5 times over the last month. So, like, you're no longer responsible for X, Y, and Z because you're a bottleneck. So, again, that's not you getting in trouble. It's us basically saying that, like, the process breaks here because this individual is too busy and things slow down and the team has to bother this person to get output. So that's a point of scale. Figure it out, invest in something or someone to take that over or disperse it among a number of different people. And guess
Mhm.
what? That person's not a bottleneck anymore. You can move faster and more efficiently. That happens at like the blocking and tackling of a project. That happens all the time. So now, like, and I'm not saying every time someone says it's a bottleneck, something's broken, but when you can have the same thing 3 times, 4 times
Mhm.
in a matter of a month or a few months, that's a bottleneck. And sometimes it's like really obvious. Like you don't have a person to do this job. You need to hire that person. And other times it's like it's something more innocent. It's just this thing used to work when we were 15 people and it all went to this person. And now
Mhm.
we're 30 and the requests doubled. We need to disperse.
Yeah.
So feedback loops, bottlenecks are actually a great thing to always have a real-time pulse on, how to fix scale issues before they become like crippling issues with your organization.
Yeah, they're some of my favorite. I'm curious too, how do you guys keep track of it? Is it through the meetings, KPIs, kind of all of the above?
It's honestly like people are looking out for issues that um they can try and catch these mistakes. I mean, like let's take contracts, right? Like in our business, a scope of work is
Mhm.
very important. It says we're doing this, we're not doing this, here's how much we're getting paid, here's how long it'll take. Now, um, there used to be a scenario where like only one person could review the scope of work with the at the agency. So we had dozens of contracts going through this person and they had to review it. That only works to a certain degree until you realize that like, okay, we need to have a standard scope for certain types of work we do. And if you stray from that standard scope, it's okay. Then you need to flag it and bring someone in for approval. And like little things like that, where then you could basically say, okay, instead of it going to the chief operating officer, every scope gets reviewed by the head of production. And if there's a custom aspect to this, the COO is going to take a look before it gets approved. So it's just a matter of like looking at the repeatable things that are happening and making sure that there's not inefficiencies baked into something that's happening every single week. Like if a thing is part of your operating, like your cost of doing business, like every week you're going to have 2 conversations with a lawyer, 12 contracts you're going to go out for signature. 6 clients are going to be happy, 2 clients are going to be unhappy, 5 employees are going to be pumped, 3 employees are going to be mad. Those all things need to have like corresponding solves in place because those are not anomalies. Just like your cost of doing business of like you need to pay your people, you need to pay your rent, you need to pay your insurance, your travel, your entertainment budgets. Those all have budget items every single month. All those other things need the same thing as well. It's the same exact thing. So when you hear people that are like, "Oh my God, it was a crazy week. The business is on fire. We had this issue and this issue." That's really because like they've outgrown their operational scale, and
Mhm.
basically like they need to go in place. They need to go and put in place things that make these stressful situations less stressful. If something is continuing to happen, it isn't an issue. It's something you haven't addressed. It shouldn't be that stressful. It's not an anomaly. So when things
Mhm.
are keep coming up and they're not an anomaly, you need to put something in place so it's not it becomes something you don't even hear about anymore because it was solved. It's not that stressful.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know if that
awesome.
makes sense.
It does make sense. It's like all the bottlenecks are basically a pattern recognition of very consistent things that are basically having an issue. And you're going to keep getting them because the more you scale, like the more that these things that worked are not going to work at the new
Yeah,
scale. Yeah.
it's like I mean, I was looking back, when I was reviewing every single master service agreement, which is like a very legal contract, and I'm working with
Mhm.
lawyers. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not good at it, but I became pretty good at deciphering the areas of the master service agreement that I care about, right? But like I'm still not the best person for the job. I still get stressed out reviewing it, and also because it was my business, I'm like very emotional about certain terms. Guess what? Like emotion and contracts are not a good thing.
They just
So
don't
like
fit.
maybe take me out and put someone who actually is good at this in that role, and they call that a Tuesday. I call that a stressful Tuesday. They're like, "Nope, I was just reviewing I reviewed 3 red lines today and it's fine." And I'm like, "Oh my God, like they want turn to be 30 days, not 60 days. That's nuts." And I'm just, "You're too emotional. Calm down, go over there. Not your
Yeah.
thing anymore."
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's like it's a great indicator too. I like how you put that. It's like this is just a Tuesday for them, but this is a stressful Tuesday for me. So it's definitely something that's wisdom to delegate.
Yeah,
And
like my time is better spent elsewhere.
yes, on your Tuesdays, on your normal Tuesdays.
Where it might drive someone else
Yeah.
wild, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm curious too, so as you think of the future and moving into the future with Wondersauce, like I know right now you're focused a lot on AI integration and seeing how that would best suit the company, best suit the employees, the clients. What else can we look forward to with the company?
Uh, just continuing to deliver good work and trying to have fun and ultimately building a place that we are all proud to work at. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. And where can people find you so they can check out everything that you do?
Wondersauce.com, WONDERSAUCE.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn, John Sampogna. I'm fairly active there. So drop me a message or DM me or whatever.
Yeah, I'll make sure to put everything in the show notes too, so people can have access to that. And I really appreciate you coming. This was so fun. I feel like we had a lot of great information, and you built a really cool company.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was fun talking to you.
Yeah, and if anyone enjoyed this, feel free to like it or share it with someone who you might find it inspiring or interesting. And thank you again for coming, John. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.